Welcome back to the Goonerverse, everybody. Sorry if you're tuning into this live. Some of you, of course, will be watching this back later. But if you tune into this live, I'm so sorry I'm late. We've had tech issues, and I can't lie, I haven't been able to fix them. Max goes on holiday once. The poor guy goes on holiday once, and everything breaks. So sorry, Max. I'll be asking you about that. Big up to Max. Obviously, does a lot of production here on the Goonerverse. We're live to do what is quite a late player ratings and analysis, but I hope, despite the tech issues, despite how late this live stream is, that you'll enjoy it because we've got more depth to these streams than ever before. There's a little bit more I want to bring with actual more data, more stats, more sort of touch maps, pass maps, things like that I think can bring this to life. We're going to do the ratings for the starting 11, talk about Zubimendi and his impact as he came on and helped Arsenal win the game. We'll be doing a little bit of analysis. We'll be doing a little bit of ratings, as we always do, with all of you in the comment section below, but really breaking down what Zubimendi did so well in this game and why he added a balance to this team. He added a balance that allowed Arsenal to get a better platform in the game against West Ham. It's a win that makes it our 5th out of 7. Obviously, the only draws and defeats have come against Man City at home and Liverpool away. So it's a really, really good return for Arsenal, really, when you think they're pretty much doing on par for what you'd expect in every result. If you lose at Anfield, that can happen. The manner of it's disappointing. The manner of the drop points against Man City was obviously disappointing too. But with Liverpool losing 2 games in a row, twice those defeats have come in the 96th, 97th minute in added time. You know, they're getting a bit of a taste of their own medicine in the way we've been feeling with the late goals that they have been scoring. We've scored a handful of late goals and they've conceded a load of late goals. And the Premier League has had a lot of late goals. So you've got to stay focused throughout. With that, the shape of the title race has changed. Arsenal are now top, 1 point clear of Liverpool. Man City travel to Brentford later. And if they win, they close the gap from them to us to 3 points as well. Welcome everyone in the chat. Like I said, I'm so sorry I'm late. We did have some tech issues, but we're going to go into the player ratings and we're going to, I think, do the player ratings quite quickly because I want to move on to the analysis of what Zubimendi did really, really well. Like I said, because of tech issues, we've had to do it slightly differently. As you can see, we're using a different internet app to do the ratings together. There'll obviously be an element of analysis, but if I just give you a little sneak peek, we do want to do, here we go, some analysis on Zubimendi and look at things like this, which I think will be really interesting. His pass map as well, as you can see on screen. So we're going to go through all that together. But I think the only thing we should do now is start with the player ratings. As you can see, the various players here, this was the starting 11. Arsenal and Arteta went bold. I think the title of Turkish's thumbnail was handbrake off, a term that I think the Athletic use as their podcast title for their Arsenal podcast. Handbrake off is actually a statement that ties to Arsenal, and this was an 11 that very much had that, with Ødegaard in the 10 and Eze in a dual 10-2. Now, I think what you're expecting when you see a shape like this is for Ødegaard and Eze to get up the pitch together like that, the wingers to split quite wide, and then Rice is supported by an incredibly free roaming Calafiori. Timber was up and down loads, but what I felt we had a lot of was actually Ødegaard dropping deep to be a part of build-up. And how often was Timber getting up there to support Saka, or even Saka playing on the inside to support Timber on the overlap? There was so many rotations from Arsenal, but I have to say, I actually felt there was a slight imbalance for Arsenal when it was Eze, Rice, and Ødegaard. And we're going to talk about why that was in a second with some data to support it. Let's bring everyone back into their shape for a second and start giving some ratings out to the goalkeeper and back four. So I invite you all to tell me what your rating is for David Raya in the comments. I mean, windy conditions, I don't really remember that bothering him too much. I don't think he had as much work to do as he did against Olympiacos, but he did well. So I think a 7. Would you guys agree with a 7? We've got a 7 from Zorino. We've got an 8 from Matthew. We've got a 7. 7 for Raya, says Dead Certs. Had very little to do with flat across right at the start. Otherwise, good. Cool. Most people agree with a 7. Okay, let's move on to the back four then. Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori. I'm going to start with the centre-backs for a second. I thought Gabriel had a few shaky moments in that first half, actually. Saliba seemed to stroll through it. Didn't really have much to say on his performance. I could kind of comfortably give them both 7s, maybe a 7 for Saliba and a 6 for Gabriel. I mean, there were a few moments like when Gabriel, like, literally first kick of the game, the ball goes over the top of him and he decides to let it run beyond. But then once he recovers, he then no, sorry, Calafiore had to deal with it. And then there was another moment where I think he thought the ball was going to go out of play and it didn't. That was in that game, right? I'm going to give them both 7s, guys. You know, clean sheets, not too much to worry about. Yeah, I think they kind of kept everything pretty sensible at the back. I think Gabriel's probably a 6.5, but I can roll with a 7 for each. Timber, I mean, had a shot on goal. It was probably our first big chance of the game. Got into some really good high positions. His, rotating with Bukayo Saka worked really well. He obviously wins the penalty. So I could give Timber an 8. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I could happily give Timber an 8 for that. But you know what? Even though he didn't have the same impact, I'm going to Calafiore an 8, guys. I think the fullbacks both get 8s. I thought they were really, really good. Calafiore was really kind of roaming into different areas, playing passes through the lines really well, carrying really well. Timber was a real threat when he got high up the pitch. I think the fullbacks were really, really good. Timber an 8 or a 9, 8, 8. Fullbacks were class. Cala 8 as well. Cala 8 for sure. Good. I'm glad you guys agree. I'm glad you all see it the way I saw it. Timber 9, good shots, won the penalty. Yeah, could easily be a 9. I mean, I'm happy with an 8. But yeah, 8, 8.5. Cool. Timber's our best defender. Maybe it could be a 9. Yeah, maybe it could be a 9. But I'm happy to stick for an 8 unless the 9's kind of poor in. Then we'll work with that. Declan Rice. Now, see, this is why I'm reluctant to give Timber a 9, because for me, Declan Rice was actually a 9 in this game. I think even at the 6, he played a lovely ball over the top to Saka, but Saka was offside. I thought he actually showed good mixture of drive with the ball in tight positions when there wasn't a pass on. He was good in the tackle. I thought he was very good when he moved to the 8. He obviously scored the goal. Set pieces, I thought he took them pretty well. Passing was crisp. I thought Declan Rice was really good. And yeah, you would agree. Lots of 9s coming in. Looked so energetic in midfield. Nice passing, scored the goal. Yeah. Awareness and touch. Yeah, it was brilliant. What a pass from Zubimendi. Cool. Okay, good. I'm glad you would agree on Declan Rice, so we can keep that moving. Now the midfield gets injured. Gets interesting. We can talk about Ødegaard who got injured, and we could talk about the dynamics. So like I said, I think what for me was going wrong here was I think you want Arsenal in this position, right? You want the 2 floating 10s. Maybe Ødegaard with a slightly more free roaming role like this. But then if he's dropping in, that naturally forces Rice left a little bit. But he was coming this side, to be fair. Then you got Calafiore tucking in. And what you really have is Trossard wanting. Ideally, he wants to be central. So I just felt you had this sort of imbalance here of players all sort of favouring that area of the pitch. And I just felt it was a little bit congested. There wasn't a natural width. Calafiore could have provided that, but he's not going to provide that because Trossard isn't going to go into that space because Eze's there. But Trossard isn't a touchline winger. And Eze was probably at times also trying to come central because Ødegaard was dropping in. So I just felt that there were really complicated dynamics. I didn't really like it at all. Now, I've got a little bit of evidence for it. I want to show you here. So what you got here is it's like an average positions map, but it's also an influence map. So this comes from StatZone. It's an iOS app. And what you can see in the top left of your screen is you can see that I've set it to particular minutes. So from minute 0 to 29 when Ødegaard came off, this was how Arsenal looked. Now you can see Rice central but drifting right into Ødegaard's space a little bit. But you can see Eze, his name is really small because he's barely had an influence on the game. So the bigger the name, the bigger the bold of the name tells you how involved they were. Eze, barely. Trossard, barely. Like, it's really Calafiore's having an impact on that side of the pitch. Gyökeres wasn't getting involved. Rice is trying to make things work down the other side with Ødegaard and Saka, but that's not a dynamic and end of the pitch he's used to being a part of for Arsenal. So it didn't really work. Excuse me, everyone. I've got a slight cough. Maybe I should have brought water with me. So let's take that off your screen for a sec. So There's a slight imbalance. Now, Ødegaard, to be fair, for the time he was on the pitch, I'll give him a 7. Like, there's not really, or a 6, 6 or a 7. He was doing okay. Maybe even a 6, to be fair. I don't think he was really having a great game, but he got the injury, 10, 15 minutes in. He tried to play on. I think he came off twice. Yeah. And we really feel for him. So I thought Ødegaard was sensational against Olympiacos the other night. And you think we just need to keep him fit and on the pitch. Because this dynamic with Eze will work. Maybe not as dual 10s, but both on the same pitch at the same time, I've no doubt can work. So really sad to see Ødegaard go off. I hope he doesn't go on international duty, and it's a real shame for him. But Zubimendi comes on. And I think at this point, Zubimendi completely changes the game because he tweaks the dynamic for this Arsenal team. So Zubimendi naturally comes into this area of the pitch, and you got something that looks a little bit more like this from Arsenal. But it meant that Eze could float into the right half space. And we saw that with the first goal. He makes a really good underlapping run here from a Zubimendi pass. And you know what? The underlaps were killing West Ham time and time and time and time again. What that allowed Arsenal to do was naturally then unclog the left side of the pitch, and Calafiori could invert higher up. Or Rice could go higher up, which he did for the goal, and Calafiori could tuck in. Or, as we've seen a lot of this season, Trossard could tuck in, Rice could sit deeper, and Calafiori could go on the overlap. And he had a trio that could all work off each other rather than it being congested with Eze on that side too. But then sort of complications between the fact that, Rice is drifting over and we didn't have Eze dropping into build-up necessarily because Ødegaard was. And I just felt it gave Arsenal a much better balance. And we got a little bit of evidence with it on StatZone. This is then the next 30 minutes. So we've shown you basically the first 30 minutes when Ødegaard was on the pitch, the changes made. You can see the influence map after. Minutes 29, call it 30, through to minute 60/61. And you can see Zubimendi heavily involved in the game. Eze drifting right a little bit more. And Rice, who, let's just show you the first image, was deep, heavily involved to the right, is now higher, a little bit less involved, but to the left with Zubimendi on the ball. And now you can see more touches for Trossard. Eze's name a little bit bigger. The left-hand side was unlocked because they got more touches. Influence is measured by things like passes, touches, general involvement in the game. Their influence grew through the next half hour. We have compared a 30-minute period to another 30-minute period. So we could see the direct comparison between Zubimendi on the pitch and Ødegaard on the pitch. That's not to say they can't play together. They played brilliantly together against Olympiacos. But what it does tell you is that you really need, if we just remove this from the screen, you can actually see me. What you really need is that balance of a 6, a marauding 8, and then a 10. You can play the dual 10s, but then you need the dynamics on the left to be smarter. So, for example, if we had Eze and Ødegaard with Rice as the 6, then I think you need Martinelli on the left wing and you need Lewis Skelly, because Lewis Skelly can tuck in next to Rice. That forces Ødegaard and Eze to vacate build-up duties, not completely. We know we alternate. We know that we rotate midfield, but they can go high up the pitch. And Martinelli can play as a touchline winger because he's got the pace to do it. And there's plenty of passing creativity, central midfield guile to support him in a Lewis Skelly, in a Gabriel and his passes from deep, in an Eze, in an Ødegaard higher up the pitch. And then you unlock someone like Martinelli a little bit more. That's when I think you use the dual 10s, not when you've got a player like Trossard on the left who wants to tuck in. I think what Arteta was going for was basically passes. I think he thought Nuno Espirito Santo, they could be very, very organised, West Ham. I need players who in tight spaces, Trossard, Gyökeres with his pace and power, Eze, Ødegaard. He wants them all there playing next to each other and Rice just sweeping in behind to act as the shield. But we didn't really get that because, like I said, the imbalance was there throughout and players were going to each other's spaces. Zubimendi had a massive impact with the passing beyond. And he had with the passing beyond to Eze, who gets a shot away. It's saved. Rice puts in the back of the net. And the ball over the top to Timber, where he wins the penalty. Now, we don't just see this change from Arsenal in that first 30 minutes to the next 30 minutes. We don't just see that in, shape and influence map. We see that in the pure numbers and stats as well. Here we can see from the first 30 minutes, Arsenal has 7 shots on goal. That is 148 completed passes, 29 in the attacking third, only 3 take-ons. Remember those numbers, 148 completed passes, 29 in the attacking third, and 3 take-ons. In the same amount of time, in the following 30 minutes, Zubimendi comes on the pitch. Arsenal's numbers go up to 10 shots with 227 completed passes, 78 in the attacking third, and 10 take-ons. Arsenal's numbers jumped in all areas, from shots to completed passes to attacking third passes to take-ons. They all went up in that next 30-minute period because the balance was so much better from Arsenal. And I think that's what we need to take from this. Yeah, we all got excited when the lineup came out, the dual 10s, but I think the dynamics around those dual 10s and how you platform them is really, really important. When Pep Guardiola did it with De Bruyne and David Silva, he had behind Kyle Walker and Fabian Delph, and he had Sane and Sterling on the wing. Now, sometimes he'd do it with Bernardo Silva on the right or Foden on the left or whatever, but generally they thrived when they had lots of pace there as well, and at least that the touchline was being hugged. And I think Trossard didn't quite know what to do in that role. As you can see in the next 30 minutes, he really, really came to life. Zubimendi's numbers are highlighted here. As you can see, he stands out for attacking third passes, completing 20 out of 21 of them. Passes in total, what is that exact number? 69 out of 73. Sorry, it's a bit small on my screen, but you can all see it there. Feel free to hit the pause button if you want to look at some of this key data in particular. As you can see, this is looking at the whole match, not just the 60-minute period that Zubimendi was on the pitch. This is for the whole match, and Zubimendi comes just shy of Saliba for total passes and comes top for passes in the attacking third. Really, really good numbers from Martin Zubimendi, who's getting better and better in Arsenal shirt. And this was his pass map. And look at the range. I mean, the blue, I think, symbolizes an assist or a chance created, something like that. I'm not quite sure, but obviously we saw those passes into the underlappers, Timber, Saka, Rice, Marino, constantly underlapping through the game, Eze as well. And we can also see the different areas that he picked up the ball, Martin Zubimendi, how often he was just roaming in so many different areas to try and run the game for Arsenal. It was really, really, really good to watch. I just felt when he came on, he gave us balance in profiles, which I think helped massively, but there was immense quality from him on the ball. And that's what I wanted to try highlight in these kind of last two graphics I've shown you here. He was just, I like Rice at the 6. I think Rice can play as a 6, but I think Arteta's system is built towards a Zubimendi style 6. But what you can do, if we just take it back to this, what we have noticed is Zubimendi will sometimes allow Timber to get forward and drop in here. We've seen this, the lines of 6. So we have seen Timber get forward when we're chasing a goal. So he'll drop into this area. Sometimes he advances up here and Rice can sit. Sometimes he will go in between the centre backs like this to receive the ball. And then Rice is joined by someone else dropping deep to get it. And Saka tucks in. The rotations from Arsenal are phenomenal. But Zubimendi is a huge, huge, huge part of this Arsenal team when they're in their most fluid rotational best. We saw against Olympiacos. I did a rewatch on the Canon. Go check it out. They've got that on Patreon, and they've got. We did a video, me and Rohan, on the Canon podcast too. We talked about it. The rotations from Zubimendi in the Arsenal midfield are sensational. So, with all that said, what's our rating for Zubimendi? I got to give him a 9, people. I think it was sensational. And you know what? I mean, maybe, does he need a goal or an assist for it to be a 10? He came on at a time where I don't think Arsenal actually had complete control of the game. I think they were good, they were creative, they were attacking, they were pretty free-flowing, but I don't think we really had control in the way we wanted. And I think Zubimendi gave us that control back. So let's get everyone back into position a little bit. Let me know what your ratings are for Zubimendi. If you all think it should be a 10, I can absolutely be convinced, because I thought he was sensational and quite literally won us the game. But there we go. Zubimendi, I'm giving a 9. Let's read your comments. 9, 8, Zubi 8. Zubimendi praises undeserved. He has looked like our weakest link in midfield. Interesting. Zubi was clear. 9. Zubi 9 created both goals. 8. Interesting. Calafiori also seemed to be roaming a lot more yesterday. Saw him in Ødegaard's position a couple times. Yeah, he was very good. He was very good. I enjoyed watching him. Just seen that Ødegaard has suffered a medial collateral Ligament injury, just our luck, right when he was getting back to his best. Right. Okay, I didn't see that. Let's react to that. Okay, let's have a little look at what's going on in the news. Forgive me while I have a little look at what's being said, because there are rumors of Ødegaard having an injury. Damn. Yeah, Ben Jacobs sustained a medial collateral ligament injury to his left knee. Marta will continue to be assessed and treated by our medical team at Sober Realty Training Centre during the international window, with the aim of return to action as soon as possible. Mad. So, medial collateral ligament injury. Let's look up how long that can take. How long is 1 to 3 weeks for a grade 1, 4 to 8 or more for severe grade 3. So we're not really looking at more than 2 months, but oh my word, bless this. Oh, sure, it gives me shivers. Like, oh, sort of thinking about how painful that must be. Sorry, when you when you think about that knee on knee kind of collision. Well, look, we wish him all the best. That's a really, really, really horrible bit of news. I mean, of course, we hope it's grade 1. We hope it's 1 to 3 weeks. Some people are saying it depends on the grade. This could be good news. If it's low grade, it's 1 to 3. He'll be fine. If it's still like, ugh, it's not 2 weeks not playing football, guys. I mean, the poor guy. Yeah, we hope it's nothing serious. I feel like Arsenal tend to come out and tell you if it's serious. They tend to come out and say, yeah, 2 months, like they did with Madueke. With this, they haven't said that, which makes me think, okay, maybe it's 1 to 3. I'll do a full reaction on Goonerverse news, everyone, so do look out for that. But that is my instant reaction to that. We wish him all the best. Like I said, full reaction on Goonerverse news a little bit later today. Okay, let's go back to our player ratings. Bukayo Saka. Yeah, what would you give Bukayo Saka? This is interesting. What would you give Saka? I'd give Saka... give him 7. Is that harsh? 8, 7, 7, 8. Saka 9, 8, 6.5. Scored the penalty. It was a pressure penalty, but he did score it. Scored a goal that was offside. Not amazing, but took and scored the penalty well. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a 7. Like I don't think he was amazing. I thought he was good. I tell you what, he is amazing. His ability to look after the ball in tight spaces. I've never known anything like it. I mean, his ability to hold off players, control the ball, and spin himself into the area that he wants to go in is really. His ball retention is sensational. Yeah, I'll give him a 7. I'm happy with that. Eze missed a big chance, I want to say 6 or 7. I'll go 7 again. What are you all giving Eze? Yeah, he was quiet. I agree. He was quiet. 6.5, 6, 6. Okay, yeah. I think you've twisted my arm. I want some 7s. I'll let a few more come through. I wasn't blown away at all. 6 for missing the shot. It wasn't bad though. No, guys, for me, 5 is fine and 6 is quite good. And so I think it was quite good. I'll give him a 6. I don't think it was Eze's best game, and that's okay. That's okay. He's had a big impact already since arriving at the club. Well done to him. Okay, Trossard. It's a 5 for me, guys. He was fine. He was all right, wasn't he? Yeah. I don't think Trossard was anything special at all. I don't really have much to say on him. I don't really know why he's got the shirt right now, if I'm honest, other than we're rotating. But could Martinelli have got a start in this? You're right here about Eze. His shot led to Declan's goal. True. 4 coming with Trossard. 5 is accurate. Yeah. And hey, we're all wondering this. Why is Trossard starting so much? Yeah. Okay. All right. Gyökeres. Don't hate on me, guys. think it was a 4 for Gyökeres, guys. Like, I think Gyökeres from Man City, out in Bilbao, Man City, Newcastle, Olympiacos. I thought he did well against Forest. Like, I've actually genuinely liked his link-up play. I think he's had actually a good run of form, despite the lack of goals. I actually think the link-up is good. His understanding with teammates is getting better. His strength is there. He's not necessarily got blistering pace, but he's got a real hunger and sprint on him to attack pace. He attacks space aggressively, which I like. But I can't really give him more than he wasn't fine. He was a bit less than fine. He wasn't great. Yeah, I think people agree. 5.5. He did all right, but was lacking. 4 is harsh. Doubled up on all games, sure, but then that's kind of, I don't know. Weak airily, some are saying. Abu gives him a 6 or a 7. Okay. Looks tired. I think he's worked up to full sharpness, played 3 games, 7 days. Yeah, that's very true. And intense games. Yeah. Okay, glad you all agree. All right, then. Well, with a couple of minutes, we may as well round off the subs. So actually, why don't we just pull them up on the screen for a second? If you just bear with me, we can go through the subs together. Here we go. Pull this away. Go through the Arsenal subs, the lineups. Thank you for being so patient, everyone. Okay, all right. Let's share screen here. Stop sharing screen there. We'll share this one. Right, you can all see that, yeah? Cool. For me, we talked about Zubimendi, gave him a 9, could easily have been a 10, came on, had a massive impact, fair play to him. Guys, I mean, do you know what? Honestly, send me your ratings. I'll go with whatever you guys think. In the meantime, I'll just talk about Arteta. I give Arteta a 9, guys. The attacking football was good. We broke down a stubborn West Ham side. He rotated. He made the right sub when Ødegaard came off. Could easily have put on Waneri and gone like for like, but he recognised that there was an imbalance in the midfield. I like the way he's been managing players' minutes. He's doing everything we're asking. I think there's heavy criticism for Mikel Arteta post City, and I don't take any of that back just because we've watched more football since. The concerns I had then, I think were valid then. Now I'm feeling really, really good about the way he's using the squad, about the football we're playing, about the combinations, the things he's trying, and we're getting wins. So Mikel Arteta, for me, gets a 9. He's got us top of the table going to the second international break with St James's Park, Anfield, Old Trafford all out the way, and we've played Manchester City at home. So we played 2 of our title rivals, if you like. I think it's a great, great start to be top after, this run of games, these circumstances with Kai, Jesus, Madueke, Ødegaard, Saliba, all getting injured and missing key football at some point, Ben White too. And we're top of the league. So fair play. When you look at, well, we'll go back to that in a sec, but where's the league table? Somewhere here allows you to see it. Anyway, we're top. Here we go, table. There we are. We are top of the league. A win for City would put them on 13, and we'd still be 3 clear. They've got to go to Brentford, which might be tough. So again, back to it. And those are the stats, if you missed them. Very, very dominant Arsenal display. Raya didn't have 1 save to make, guys. And when you're dominant like that, you've got to praise the manager. So he gets a 9 from me. The subs will go through Arteta 8. He seems to be as stubborn. Seems to not be as stubborn as we're used to with him. Yeah, maybe. Martinelli and Co 5, but Marino, the less said, the better. I'd give them 6s, held the clean sheet. Yeah, agreed. 5, 6s, whatever you like. People were annoyed with Marino, though, and gave him a 4. All right, guys, that's it. We're going to round it off there. Big, big thanks for tuning in. And let me know in the comment section below, what did you think of this version of the live stream? And if you're in the chat now, what did you think of this version of it, where we did a little bit more analysis, a little bit more data? We did the player ratings alongside a different style of analysis. What I want to do is combine the two. I want the tactical pad where we can annotate the pitch, show certain things, and I want to blend that with what we've been doing in this video with, Zubimendi's stats, his pass map, and other kind of key stats that are really important. So, yeah, if you enjoyed that, let me know. and we'll do something like this more often. Tomorrow, got some exciting updates around the Goonerverse and new types of content we're going to be doing. So look out for that video on the Goonerverse main channel, which I can let you know about all of that. And that's pretty much it, everyone. Arsenal have gone and beaten West Ham 2-0 to send them to the top of the league. Liverpool lost. I've got a reaction to that on Goonerverse News, so plenty of content coming. Big thank you to all who are tuning in. I really appreciate it. Raji, thank you so much. I will keep going. Tactical Pad also, please. We are working on that. I'm going to play around with the James Lawrence Alcott, the JLA tactics board. I think that might be a good way of showing everything I want to show you. Thank you so much for all tuning in, guys. I really, really appreciate it. We'll leave it there. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll catch you very soon. Many, many thanks.